Well, welcome in, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Hope you guys just had a fantabulous rest of your Monday. If you watch the Phillies and you're a Phillies fan, chances are pretty good that if you watch this show or if you listen to the podcast, you're a big fan of the Philadelphia Phillies, especially what they did last night with their 8-3 victory over the Detroit Tigers, regardless of Nick Maton trying to play spoiler for the entire game. Aaron Nola was absolutely dominant. The longest no-hit bid of his career is the way I guess you could put it. 6 2/3, not too shabby. Had some defensive help behind him, especially with Edmundo Sosa. First, he had the error in the 7th, and then he had a spectacular play to keep the no-no alive. Trea Turner was on fire last night. He looks more and more like Captain America. I'm telling you, looks more and more like that Captain America fellow that was playing in the World Baseball Classic from Team USA. I definitely love seeing that. We'll get into that conversation today. We'll get into this lineup, how I still hate it, but if it works, I love it. And then we'll go through this little 76ers checklist I've put together. And tomorrow, our good friend Paul Hudrick will be joining us because we've gotten some different Sixers takes over the last month. I haven't checked in with Paul. I want to get his take on Nick Nurse and what the checklist is going to be for the Sixers going into this offseason for Nurse, for Darryl Morey, for James Harden, and some other Sixers that, or potential Sixers that could be out there in free agency. So we'll get to all that and more on today's program. First and foremost, oh my goodness. I don't know why this is so difficult sometimes, but when a pitcher has a great pitch and he decides to get away from that pitch, or to use Aaron Nola's own words, lazy with a pitch, I am beside myself. He said last night after the game that he has a tendency to get lazy with his fastball. Why? So the velocity's down. Is it because he's lazy with it, or is it because it's fatigue, dead arm period, whatever it might be? But to get lazy with a pitch that works so well, and I'm talking in particular about his two-seam fastball. That's what has made Aaron Nola anything close to a Cy Young contender, an all-star, a big league pitcher, a guy that has exceeded at any point of his career what was bestowed upon him, the tag that was bestowed upon him when he was coming up through the minors, and people said, well, I know he's a high draft pick, but he's at best a third starter. He's at best a third starter. And you know what? A lot of times those people have been right. He's gone through long stretches of his career where he has looked like, at best a third starter. But last night, he looked like that ace that we have seen time and time again throughout his career for long stretches as well. And you know when he is pitching at his best? When that two-seam fastball is a ghost and just disappears on hitters in the batter's box. And when he was throwing that fastball last night, it kept on being they knew what it was on the broadcast. It was a two-seam fastball. They kept calling it a sinker. Like in the whenever they identify the pitch, it was coming up as a sinker. It wasn't a sinker. It was a two-seam fastball. And it was cutting in away from left-handed hitters. It was cutting in on right-handed hitters. He was throwing it off the plate, and it was coming back to catch that zone. That is when Aaron Nola is at his best. And he had that pitch back last night in this 8-3 win, the 6 2/3 no-hitter that he threw last night. That's what he was able to do, and that's how he was able to dominate. So I beg Aaron Nola. I beg JT Realmuto. I beg Garrett Stubbs in case he's catching them at any point. Keep calling for that pitch, because when he has got it, he has got it. It is a dominant pitch. And there is instances that we talked about in the past when he had a great start against the Houston Astros. He was popping the mid, 93 miles per hour. He wasn't really throwing, or 92 miles per hour. The heat wasn't there, but the life on the fastball was there. And that's why you can ignore velocity at times, because when you have life on that fastball and you have movement on that fastball, it doesn't matter if you're throwing it at 90 or 95. I mean, yes, 95 helps set up everything else. For instance, a knuckle curve, which is what Aaron Nola can fall in love with and throw a little too much and get away from that two-seamer. But last night was the rare instance where the two-seamer was working, and when that works, you know you're going to have a good outing from Aaron Nola. When he's throwing the knuckle curve and he's dropping that in for strikes, and he's able to set that up with a 94-mile-per-hour four-seam fastball, oh, everything's working. And that's how you get to 6 2/3 without allowing a hit. So this is not going to be the rule, unfortunately, for Aaron Nola. It's a nice exception when you have all three pitches working in the way that they were working. And that's why he was able to have so success. But it all started with that two-seam fastball. And if you go through the game and you go through his pitches and what he had working for him, in the first inning, he had that two-seamer working for him. It was actually a 94-mile-per-hour two-seamer is what he got Baez on in the first inning. And then Baddoo goes up there, and he strikes out looking as well. 14-pitch first inning, he got called out on a strike as well. And then from that point on, he was able to set up the knuckle curve. He threw the four-seam fastball for 95 miles per hour. Great to see that kind of life from an Aaron Nola in this game. You need to keep that type of effort from Aaron Nola in every single start for the rest of this year. Because I know, and I've said this about a lot of guys, most notably I've said it about Trea Turner recently. I've said it about Zach Wheeler. You know you have a better version of that pitcher or that player. It's a matter of when you're actually going to get that version of the player that makes them special. And last night, that's what I saw from Aaron Nola. You have to find a way to tap into that. Well, let's hear from Aaron Nola coming up in a little bit as to what he had to say after the game. One, he worked on his fastball, as I mentioned. The other was the pitch clock. He had 2 strikeouts on automatic strikes. 2 of them in the ball game last night. Aaron Nola said something interesting about it. He said, when you come home, it feels like the pitch clock is faster. I don't know if that's a shot at whoever's running the pitch clock at Citizens Bank Park. I don't know. But it just seemed like an interesting thing to point out. Like, he was saying it in protest. He wasn't saying it like, oh, yeah, I got those guys. Ha-ha. No, he was saying, like, they cut me a break. No, he was saying that, like, it seemed fast. Like, it wasn't a complaint. And by the way, listen to Aaron Nola and tell me when you hear this. The guy hasn't been in the Baton Rouge area for a long time. He sounds more Baton Rouge than ever. Sounds more Louisiana than ever. And that seems like it's hard to do. Like, people will move away from Philly, they lose a little bit of that accent. People will move away from New York, people move away from Boston, they might lose a little bit of that accent. They definitely don't become more Boston, New York, or Philly, and somehow Aaron Nola has become more Baton Rouge. So we'll get to that. Trea Turner. As I said, there's been a better version of Trea Turner. We just haven't seen it yet. And I've had confidence that I've told you guys, he's not going to be like Nick Castellanos. He's not going to go a whole year, and you're going to be thinking, well, was he worth it? No. Trea Turner, and it's easy to say this after a 4-hit night. He had 1 4-hit game last year for the Dodgers, and he did it on June 21st last year. He's had his first 4-hit game for the Phillies, and he did it yesterday on June 5th. Great to see him get the 4-hit game. But what impressed me the most was his first home run to put the Phillies up 3-0. He leads off the bottom of the 3rd inning by working a full count. And then he absolutely tattooed a cut fastball that didn't cut in on his hands nearly enough, and he blasted it into the left field stands. Working a full count for Trea Turner has been a very difficult thing this year. For him to get to that full count and then see a pitch, get a good pitch, and hammer that good pitch to the tune of a home run is fantastic. You talk about a guy trying to settle it and also doing it at home. People were booing him 10 games ago. And what does he do? He comes up huge for this Phillies ball club. Comes up huge with that home run, puts him up 3-0. Then later in the ball game, works a good count as well. And this time in the 5th inning, makes it a 5-0 ball game by putting it into the second deck in left field in front of Harry the K's. I said last night on the Jacob Media postgame show that one guy I can remember putting it up there for the Phillies is Sal Fasano. How random is that? But that's the one guy I remember. And it looked like Trea Turner put it up there, and then it dropped down into the first tier. But still, to get it up there was pretty remarkable. It was a pitch that he absolutely tattooed to the second deck in left field. He also played really well at shortstop for you, had a great play on the final out. It really was a remarkable performance from Trea Turner. Look, if this really is the magical month of June that we were all kind of joking about and hoping for, really, then by all means, let's have at it. Let's see the Phillies over 500 by the end of this month. Let's see the Phillies really turning some heads. Let's see Trea Turner look like a guy that actually was worth $300 million that the Phillies signed him to. Let's see Aaron Nola return to ace status. And while we're at it, why not Zach Wheeler as well? Because I know I've said it about individual players, but I know there's a better brand of baseball in this entire Phillies roster than what we have seen to this point. And Rob Thompson, you beautiful SOB, you. If you have rediscovered, or if you have discovered, let's just say this, if you have discovered a way for the 2023 Phillies to be like the 2022 Phillies by putting Kyle Schwarber back at the top of the order, oh, that's obvious. Yeah, he went to a World Series with him leading the way. Okay, fine. But he seems like he's seeing a lot more pitches. Seems like he's walking a lot more. His on-base percentage is going up in his last couple of games as a leadoff guy, so it's worked. But Nick Castellanos is your two-hole hitter? Not even Bryson Stott? And Trea Turner as your cleanup hitter? Hold on a second there, Robbie T. You mean to tell me that you went into your office and you got the Bunsen burners going, right? You had the lab, right? You had all the bubbles, the whatever going across the thing. You had the lab coat on, and you're thinking, how can I possibly make this lineup work? And he's tinkering with things, and things are blowing up in his face, and he comes out and he goes, Eureka, I've got it! I'm going to take my worst possible hitter, and I'm going to take him and put him in the most clutch spot imaginable. I'm going to put him as a cleanup hitter. What? That's insane. Were all the other coaches like, what are you, nuts? What are you, you can't do that. Was Dave Dombrowski running down there and be like, no, Trea Turner's been terrible. Don't put him in the cleanup spot. And Rob Thomas was like, in his typical Canadian way, well, I just think it's going to work. I just think if I put him there, it's going to be great. If I just take the guy that's not really performing and put him in and ask him to do the most, then maybe that'll be too much for him and he'll overload and reset back to his rebooting all-star status and Captain America of the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, sure, whatever. It worked. it's at least working right now. I told you, and I said at the beginning of the show, I hate it. It doesn't make any sense. But baseball sometimes is at its best, but it doesn't make any damn sense. And this doesn't make any sense. Trea Turner is a 240 hitter. And all of a sudden, he's got a 4-hit game for you, batting out of the cleanup spot. Oh, and he also had an RBI double the other day in the cleanup spot as well. So it's like it's worked. Rob Thompson was asked about it after the game. About, hey, so I guess I can assume that Trea Turner's going to be in the cleanup spot again tomorrow? Meaning game 2 of this 3-game series against the Tigers. Rob Thompson was like, yeah. yeah, basically, yeah. That's right. Sometimes, I mean, look, people, if you hate analytics, and I don't hate analytics, I think the worst thing analytics is labeled analytics. Like, it's information. That's all. It's information. If you don't like analytics, then Rob Thompson's your guy, because I don't know if there's an analytical number. I don't know if there's 1 ounce of information that makes you go, yeah, Trea Turner, cleanup guy, go for it. You know what that is? That's gut. That's just knowing the game. That's just knowing the game of baseball. And if Rob Thompson, and I've said this before, but if Rob Thompson is facing adversity for his first time without that interim tag on his managerial title, if he's facing adversity for the first time, and he gets out of it by way of gut and not by way of like a Gabe Kapler, well, this is what the numbers tell me. If that's what he's doing, then there's no better endorsement for anti-analytics than Rob Thompson taking the guy with the 160 batting average and making him your leadoff hitter, and taking the guy with the 240 batting average and 4 home runs and putting him as your cleanup hitter. Have at it. Okay. All right. Well, it's not just the base percentage. It's the analytical. Yeah. Whatever. Throw it out the window. Doesn't matter. Because he's got this lineup cooking. Bryson Stott moving him down to what? 5-6? No. What? That shouldn't make any sense. You shouldn't be winning baseball games with that strategy. And it's working. It's amazing. Baseball doesn't have to make any damn sense. But it's working. And by the way, how much do you love Bryson Stott? I know, rhetorical question. But he gets bumped down. He works another 2 walks in this ball game. Strikes out once. On base percentage still 329, still pretty good, still cooking there, and he's still hitting 285 on the season. So not too shabby there from Bryson Stott. But this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But yet here we are in an 8-3 ball game. Let's go through it real quick. Go through the play-by-play of last night's game before we let you hear from Rob Thompson what he had to say about Aaron Nola and what Nola had to say about Nola. I mentioned that first inning, that two-seamer was working great. I did not want him to get away from it. I wanted him cooking, and that's what he was doing in that first inning in particular. Then in the bottom of the first inning, Schwarber leads off with a walk. Castellanos gets a single. Harper ends up flying out to center field. And then Turner steps up to the plate with his first RBI of the day. He gets the RBI single to to the left field, just off the mitt of their shortstop Baez, and it goes into left center field. By the way, Javier Baez, wasn't there a Braves catcher named Javi Baez that like absolutely torched the Phillies one year in particular with like 46 home runs? Well, he did it for the Braves, and then he went to the Orioles, and he never really did. It should be like the Screen Actors Guild, when you can only have like one name. That's why like Michael J. Fox is Michael J. Fox. You know what I'm saying? That's the first name that came to mind. Sorry. That's just crazy to me. It's just generationally, it just messes with my mind. But anyway, it's just off the mid of Javi Baez at shortstop, goes to the left field for the RBI single. Phillies aren't able to do anything else with that. Then the Phillies go on to get another RBI on an RBI double from Nick Castellanos. They go up 2-0 in the second inning. After the top of the second inning, when you get Aaron Nola striking out the side, including the automatic strike on Haas to end the top of the second inning. That was a thing of beauty. Then at the bottom of the third inning, the Phillies are able to get that home run from Trea Turner on the full count. They go up 3-0. Then the Phillies go into the fourth inning, and it was this was a little bit of a long one, unfortunately. Well, at least it seemed like it was going to be a long one for Aaron Nola. Starts out with the 8-pitch at bat with McKinstry, and he ends up getting the strikeout. Then after that, he ends up getting Baez to ground out to second base, and then Badu, goes and pops out to Drew Ellis at first base. So it ended up being a quicker inning than originally anticipated. In the fifth inning, and this is when I started to notice that Aaron Nola's pitch count was getting up there. Torkelson, and the no-hitter was still intact. Torkelson gets up there, and he lines out to center field on one pitch. Then he walks Maton. Then Haas goes up there, a one-pitch at bat. And it goes 6-4-3 double play. He gets out of that inning. And I'm thinking, this is perfect. He got the no-hitter still intact, and he needed a quick inning, and he got it. Then in the fifth inning, Harper steps up to the plate. Well, he's up there. Castellanos led off, of course, with the walk. Then Castellanos goes to second on a wild pitch. Harper gets the RBI on the ground out, I believe, or RBI single, rather. He gets thrown out at second. Sorry. And then Turner goes up there and gets the home run. So it would have been a 2-run home run. Settle for the solo home run. 5-0. Then Real Muto grounds out. Stott works a walk. Wentz goes out. Englert comes in. He gets Ellis to fly out to center field. Sixth inning. Cabrera's up there. Strikeout. Ibanez, strikeout. Another automatic called third strike. Marisnik goes up there and he strikes out. So you get 3 strikeouts in the sixth inning. Aaron Nola is cruising. Go into the bottom of the sixth inning. Not much doing there for the Phillies. And then the seventh, this is where you run into some problems. McKinstry leads off with a 4-pitch walk. So already, little scary. Baez goes up there. He grounds out to, grounds out. Baez goes up there. He hits the bouncer to Edmundo Sosa, who can't handle it, and it dribbles into left field. I thought it was an error. I thought it was obviously a ball that Sosa had. He just had to back up on it a little bit, and he couldn't get to it. Or he could get to it. He just couldn't glove it. So it dribbles into left field. I'm thinking error. Now everyone's waiting for the official scorer. The official scorer rules it an error. So the no-hitter is still intact. You have first and second with nobody out. Badu steps up there. He strikes out. Then Torkelson hits a bullet down the third base line. And Edmundo Sosa smothers it, diving to his right to make the stop. Dives up, actually makes a phenomenal play entirely. From the diving stop to the throw to first, he gets the out, keeps the no intact, and saves a run. You now have second and third with 2 outs. This was a weird at bat. Nick Maton, who, yes, him and Car Shield himself, Matt Vierling, got their NL championship rings. Maton goes up there. He's down 0-2. They throw him a knuckle curve. It drops in for a strike. Maton didn't like the call, so he argues a little bit with the umpire. Whatever. They throw him another one. He fouls it off. I'm thinking you got his bat looking for that curveball. Throw him the heater. Throw him the two-seam fastball. They did not. They threw him the knuckle. They threw him the knuckle curve. Maton blasted it in the right field for a 3-run home run. You were up 5-0. It's now 5-3. They decide to leave Aaron Nola in there to finish out the inning. And finish out the inning, he does. Haas strikes out for the 12th strikeout of the game. Nola is out after 7 innings, 3 runs, none of them earned. How about that? Then in the 8th inning, the bottom of the 7th inning, 2-run ball game. I went to a dark place here during the game last night. I was thinking to myself, this is going to be rough. It's going to be a 5-0 lead. Nola finally gives up 3 runs, although unearned. Now the bullpen's going to come in and blow it. That's not what happened. The Phillies go out there in that inning, and they pick up their pitcher. Harper leads off with a single, followed by a Trea Turner single for his 4th hit of the game. Runner on 1st and 3rd with nobody out. JT Realmuto comes up. JT Realmuto delivers with a 2-run double. Trea Turner just flies, man. When you get him on the bases, he's on first base. First of all, I thought where he put that ball in the outfield for his hit, I thought it was going to be runners at 2nd and 3rd. I thought he was going to get a double out of that potentially. He did not. They played it safe, rightly so. You have runners at 1st and 3rd. Realmuto gets the 2-run double, scoring Trea Turner from first base. Bryson Stott strikes out. Ellis ends up striking out. Looking debatable pitch. It was not a strike. It was not a strike. Sosa steps up there, gets the RBI single. Guthrie works the walk. Schwarber ends up flying out to center field. Just missed a home run right there, but they close out the 7th inning. Now, instead of it being a 5-3 ball game, it's an 8-3 ball game, and then the bullpen handles it the rest of the way, and they were able to get out of that one and get away with this, with the not only the win, but their 3rd straight win. And what do you call 3 wins in a row? A winning streak. Here is Rob Thompson after the game talking about Aaron Nola's performance and whether or not Nola, after back-to-back terrible starts, whether or not he needed a game like this.
Yeah, I think, did he need it? I think it helps, sure, because I think he really believes that he's not pitching the way he normally pitches. So this should give him some confidence and move him forward and keep him going.
Without question. I do think these are all momentum. I think all athletes, they thrive on momentum. I think that goes without saying. Momentum is what builds your confidence. If you're actually pitching well and you do it over an extended period of time and you have that momentum and then all of a sudden I am this good, you need a lot of confidence to throw that 2-seam fastball because that thing's flat. Oh, it could go a long way. Need a lot of confidence to throw that knuckle curve because if that thing doesn't curve or knuckle, that thing's going a long way, a la Nick Maton. So watching Aaron Nola last night, it looked like really his confidence was growing throughout this game. And then when you saw that pitch count start to go up, that's when you started to get concerned that he might not make it. Now, just to live in the hypothetical for a second, he did end up throwing 108 pitches. But just to live in the hypothetical, let's say that he got out of that inning unscathed in the 7th. How much longer were you going to let Aaron Nola go? Rob Thompson said after the game that he was going to give him maybe one more inning. So you mean to tell me that it's possible that Aaron Nola could have had a no-no on his hands at the close of the 8th inning and you would have put him out there for the 9th inning? This is a big debate, risking somebody's health to accomplish something great. I believe it was David Cohn with the 96 Yankees that had a no-no going, and Joe Torre said, yeah, no, he's out. I think it was a perfect game. They took him out. And this has happened. It's a great debate in sports. I say let it rip, man. I say if he goes out there and he closes out the 8th inning with a 10-pitch inning, you got to give him the 9th. you never know what's going to happen. You got to at least give him the ninth. If he gives up a hit, then he's out. Gives up a walk, then he's out. You still got to win the game. But I hate saying no to history. You never know when he's going to get that opportunity again. You talk about a guy that absolutely needs as much confidence built up as possible. I think that's Aaron Nola. So just to live in that hypothetical for a second, he said he would have not put him back in. He would have given one more inning after the seventh. If he got out of the seventh, with still the no-hit bid intact. But as far as your bullpen arms last night, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Andrew Vasquez ended up going into quiet any storm by the Detroit Tigers bench. I will say, or bats, I should say. I will say something interesting with the Tigers, though. We've talked about the Washington Nationals as a team that could be good for a get-right game, right? A get-right series in D.C. Well, the Tigers, and that might be the case for the entire Phillies team. That might be the case to play the Nationals, might have gotten it back on track. Look, they took the last 2 games of that 3-game series. They've now won this first game of the Tigers series. That's what you call 3 in a row, as I mentioned. So that's a get-right series. Hopefully they continue to build on this momentum. But Aaron Nola in particular might have needed to face the Detroit Tigers in order to get right as well. Listen to these numbers. 28th in Major League Baseball with a 228 team batting average. 226 team batting average. 28th in baseball. Yeah, if I'm Aaron Nola, I want to face the crappiest hitting team in baseball, and this is pretty close to it. They also score they're tied for 23rd in runs per game. So if I'm Aaron Nola, I want to face a team that can't score. With home runs, they ain't going to hurt you that bad. Of course, he ends up giving up a 3-run home run to Nick Maton, but none of the runs were earned. They've only hit 47 home runs this season. That's 27th in baseball. So, yeah, if I'm Aaron Nola, that's a team that I want to face. So that's a get-right game, hopefully, for Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola was asked after the game what he had worked on from his last start, which, if you remember, was against the New York Metropolitans. That one did not go particularly well. He allowed 4 runs on 4 hits in 6 innings of work. He walked 3. Previous to that, he allowed 5 runs in 6 innings against the Braves. This time around, 7 innings, 3 runs, none of them earned, all coming on a home run. He did issue 3 walks, though, unfortunately. He did strike out 12. So what do you work on, Aaron Nola? Here's what he said he worked on from last start to this start.
For sure, yeah. Especially my fastball was my main key to work on, trying to get that down in the zone for the most part and up when I needed to. So I felt like tonight it was more down than it has been this year, which was a positive.
How much, after those last 2?
Sorry, I didn't cut off that question at the right time there, or the answer at the right time there. I don't. Now, he said he can get lazy with his finish and he needs to put more momentum into his front side when throwing his fastball. Whatever it takes, man, because you are absolutely, without question, at your best when you got that 2-seamer working, as I've said many times already. So to see him have trust in that, to see him be able to throw that with great regularity was fantastic, and to see him working on it and acknowledging that that's an issue, then yeah, more of it, please. Now, this is an interesting thing because I don't really consider this a complaint by any means, but it kind of sounds like a complaint. After the game, Aaron Nola was asked about, if this was the best he's felt. Now, let me just say this. I know people hate these questions, but if you're a writer, you ask these questions because you're essentially teeing up the subject to talk about something so you could quote them in the story. Sometimes you'll say something obvious just so that they talk about it. So you can write it. It's not a... People take it as a sign of stupidity from writers, but it's smart. It's teeing them up top. It beats the hell out of talk about your fastball. Like, okay, just giving them a command. So Aaron Nola gets asked about if this is the best he felt. Now, obviously, the answer to that is yes, but you want him to talk about it. So here he is talking about whether or not this is the best he felt in the start this season.
Physically felt all season?
Yeah, it was. I think the pitch clock was a little too fast, though. It seems to be that way when we get back home. So, but other than that, it felt pretty good.
You got 2 clocks, right?
Yeah. I looked up and there was 5 seconds at one, and JT was telling me to get off the field. And then the other one, the umpire was in front of the plate, tapping his wrist. So, you kind of know when it's fast when those guys get banged for it too. So.
I love it. It sounded like a complaint, right? All right, so yes, let's unpack it. Okay, this is the best you felt. Yeah, okay. For him to just jump to the pitch clock, though, I found hilarious. It helped him, and one of the reporters is like, "Hey, you got 2 called strikes on it, so that's yeah." He's like, "Yeah, but I look up and there's 5 seconds, and there's JT real muted." I also love the idea of JT being like, "Get the hell off! What are you going to argue? What are you going to argue that the batter was looking up in 8 seconds? He wasn't looking up in 8 seconds." I think it was Haas. I think that's who he was talking about. But for Nola to say, I think it's faster when I'm home, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's like throwing the person under the bus that actually pushes start on the pitch clock button. I don't know. But whatever, man, it's working. I don't know. Maybe he's excited and amped up and things just seem like they're faster when he's at home. I don't know what to tell you. But hey, it got you 2 strikeouts. You tied your career high in strikeouts. You just saw right there. Our friends at NBC Sports Philadelphia with that audio, of course. I love it. I find it to be hilarious. The fact that he wasn't asked about it. So this is the thing that's very indicting, incriminating, I should say. When players are asked about something and they volunteer other information, I always find that interesting, and I always find it the most honest. Like, they weren't even asked about that. When they're asked about something, their first thought is like, I don't even want to talk about what they're asking me about, but I'm going to just give them an answer. And then when they volunteer other information, they're like, oh, this is interesting. Is the guy at CBP or the lady at CBP, is the person at CBP just kind of hitting the button different than everybody else in every other ballpark? The Tigers seemed a little caught off guard. Nick Castellanos had an automatic strike called on. Phillies are going to be back at it, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. Again, 6:40 start time. I love these 6:40 start times. They are fantastic. Taijuan Walker will get the start for the Phillies. Things could have gone better for the Phillies and Taijuan Walker last time out. But like I said, 6:40 start time tonight. Tyler Alexander, another lefty, will be on the hill for the Tigers. Taijuan Walker will go for the Phillies. Alexander enters the game 1-0 on the season. Looks like a spot start for the lefty against Taijuan Walker. In his last outing, looks like the Rangers are going with a bullpen game. His last outing was a scoreless inning. So there's that. As for Taijuan Walker, we'll get to his stuff a little bit later in the morning rush. Before I get to the chat check, one thing. The 76ers have this really interesting offseason ahead of them. And I'm putting together a little checklist of things that I want to see the Sixers do. And I started it, obviously, right at the end of the season when they got bounced out of the second round, Game 7. Again! And my first thought was, I think James Harden's a bigger problem. Because if James Harden comes up clutch and plays consistent good basketball, the Sixers are playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, at least. And doing that for the first time in 22 years. But I didn't want him back, and I still don't want him back, and I know it's his player option. But I also didn't think that Doc Rivers would be the guy to get him over the top. There's a better version of this team that Doc Rivers just isn't getting out of him. So I didn't want Doc Rivers back. So far, I've gotten the no Doc Rivers back, so that's check 1. After Doc Rivers, I wanted Nick Nurse, and the Sixers got Nick Nurse. So that's check 2. Check 3 is Harden, and whatever happens there, and I don't want Harden back, so I'd love to check the box with James Harden not coming back to the 76ers. Check 4 is going to be the hardest one because I don't know what Darryl Morey does. And check 4 could consist of Tobias Harris not coming back, and I'd be open to having Tobias Harris come back. He's still under contract, as we know. As of right now, he's in your starting 5 starting next year. But I'll take Tobias Harris coming back with Nick Nurse as a head coach and with no James Harden, because I think without James Harden, Tobias Harris will become a better basketball player. I think his scoring will go up. I think you'll see a lot more of the guy that you saw the Sixers trade for when they got him from the Clippers. And I also think that a guy like Tyrese Maxey takes a big step forward. If this becomes Embiid Maxey, then that's, I think, a good thing. Maybe not for this year right now coming up, but maybe for the year after that. So the 4th check is really whether or not Tobias Harris is going to be back, but it's also possibly if he's not back, who you sign in free agency. Now, if you just glance, as we've talked about many times now, we've talked about the lists of free agents available for the 76ers or guys that could become available. Then there's nobody that you really look at that go, oh, yeah. No, that's the guy. That's the guy that really puts his team over the top. Fred VanVleet's name has come up a lot for obvious reasons. One, Nick Nurse, of course. The other, he's a guard, and if you don't have James Harden back, then you're going to need another guard to help run things. He, too, has a player option, so he can opt out. Sixers have a bunch of directions they can go. Jeremy Grant is another name that is out there in free agency that you can talk about. He does not have a player option. There's other guys that you would want to come in possibly to help this team come in and maybe put them over the edge. I don't know who that person is. You could talk about Kyrie Irving. I know a lot of people want to mention that name, if not just for the fun of it. I don't have any fun. I want nothing to do with Kyrie Irving here in Philadelphia. Don't even get me started on that. But when it comes to the potential of like a Chris Middleton or somebody like that potentially becoming a unrestricted free agent, that's where I'm really listening. Josh Hart would be a great name to possibly have in Philadelphia as well. But I think the best fit, if the Sixers can magically afford it somehow, and I don't think you do it without moving on from Tobias Harris, if Chris Middleton opts out with the Bucks for whatever reason, I think he'd be a great addition here in Philadelphia. Now, it might be a bit of a, pipe dream to even consider being able to get him money-wise. I still would love to see the acquisition because right now the Sixers are going to need that shooting. And if you're going to see Joel Embiid expand his game to be more of a facilitator, not saying a point guard, I'm not saying you're going to make him Ben Simmons, I'm not saying you're going to make him Nikola Jokic, I'm not saying that, but if you can make that part of his game bigger, where he is passing out of double teams more, where they have better ball movement, and it's not him one-on-one in the paint and then eventually getting double teamed to try to fight his way through it to get fouled and go to the line. But it's him going down there and being able to kick out to Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris or Chris Middleton, and those guys knock down shots from the outside. That's going to be a beautiful thing. I'm really curious to see the tweaks that are there that Nick Nurse will make. And it's going to be a long time before we can actually see it come to fruition, but I think we're going to start to see how it comes together throughout this offseason. So that's why when I look at this checklist, you already have Nurse in. Okay, that's obvious, but that's the one thing. Now you're waiting on Harden, and that'll have huge effects on what the Sixers are going to do for the rest of their offseason. Because if he's back, I really want to see how Nick Nurse uses him. And if he's gone, I really want to see how Nick Nurse uses Tyrese Maxey and how he's going to change Joel Embiid's game. And I'm not saying try to make into something that he's not. Joel Embiid is not Nikola Jokic. But if you take a little shaving off of Nikola Jokic's game and you can have Joel Embiid all of a sudden up those assist numbers and have him set up other players, first off, he's got to have players to kick to. That goes without saying. Right now, I don't think he's got a complete roster of players to do that. But if Nick Nurse is going to change anything about, I don't know if to use the word change because that's even too much. That's overselling it. That makes it sound too pretentious. But if he's going to adjust Joel Embiid's game in the least, he's going to need players to pass to. It can't just be like, oh, yeah, no, now you do this, no matter who's out there. If it's our friend George Niang coming back, possibly, George Niang's got to hit those shots. I'm very curious, as we all are, to see the changes that are made from this lineup from the close of Game 7 against the Celtics to Game 1, opening up the 2023-2024 season. So, checklist is underway. Is there anybody out there that you really want on the 76ers that you also think is likely? What do you call it? Bold but possible. Chris Middleton, I think, is bold but possible. Kyrie Irving, no thank you. What if the Sixers definitely need one thing they definitely need, and this is on the checklist as well, as a backup center other than Paul Reed? Like, you needed another one, especially if you're going to be load managing Joel Embiid again, if you're going to be having him on a minutes restriction. We all know, and when we talked about this with Rich Hoffman last week, he had talked about how Nick Nurse is no dummy. He's not going to be like, well, I play players a lot. My starters play more minutes than anybody, so Joel Embiid's going to play 48 minutes. Like, no, he's not doing that. I think he's going to have him playing a substantial amount of games. I don't think it's going to be 65 games. I don't think he's going to limit them like he limited and managed the workload of Kawhi Leonard in the 2018-2019 season. But I think throughout the season, if he can cut his minutes to save him and still have him play, but not have him play as many minutes and then have him go into the postseason, maybe a little more fresh and healthy than we're used to seeing him, well, then the Sixers are going to need more than just Paul Reed as their backup center. They're going to need somebody else to come in and take a lot of minutes. I think Nick Vucevic, former Sixer, I think it's going to take I don't think they're going to go that bold with it, but he's going to be out there. So who's the guy you're looking at in free agency right now that you would love to see come here with the 76ers? Just regardless, just fish a wish. Who's the guy? Let me know in the chat. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven delivers the perfect price. You know what that perfect price is? The perfect price means no haggling, no negotiating, no pressure above all else. So when you go to Steven Singer Jewelers, you don't have to sit back and think, oh, man, how am I going to negotiate? How am I going to haggle? I got all this pressure. How am I going to do it? It's already at the perfect price. You worry about that stuff at the other jeweler that's marking things way up just to market down a couple of bucks in front of you, make you feel like you won something. But at Steven Singer Jewelers, you get treated like a real family member, and it's no pressure, haggle-free shopping. It's Steven Singer Jewelers. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. Fast and free shipping online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about Manscaped, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. The leader in below-the-waist grooming. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and their skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So try Manscaped. Use the promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? Freestone Farm CBD. You like CBD? You use CBD? You want to try different CBD? Try Freestone Farm CBD at freestonefarmcbd.com. Oh, man. You'll love their tropical tasting bags that clocks into the chart-topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at freestonefarmcbd.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off at Freestone Farm CBD. And they grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State. How about that? So it's local. Freestone Farms, freestonefarmcbd.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportstation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. I'm going to start over on the I'm going to start it on the Jacob Media Sports page. Big Sills Propaganda? Hell of a name. Farzy probably back all in on the Titans after beating some bad teams. Now, you hold on just a minute, Big Sills Propaganda, sir. I was never out on the Phillies. I still think this team's making the playoffs. Now, they're not going to win 98. They're not going to win 98 games. That's not happening. Okay, I've said they're not doing that. But they play their best brand of baseball June, July. They don't even know the season starts. April, May. They don't even know those months exist. They think that's just a really long on-deck series. So I have maintained confidence that they're going to make the playoffs. That doesn't mean that when they're terrible, I don't call them out for being terrible and say they're better than this. You shouldn't have to wait till June to play good baseball. And look, I have already acknowledged that beating the Nationals isn't anything worth bragging about. Beating the Tigers isn't anything worth bragging about. But if this is all part of the trajectory to get you on the better path to actually making the playoffs again, then I'm all for it. Beating the Nationals now does not mean you win the World Series. Beating the Tigers now does not mean that you're automatically making the playoffs. But it certainly helps solidify my confidence that this team has been better than what we have seen for the first 2 months of the season. So that's what I'll say, Big Sills Propaganda. That's what I'll say. Babs! Oh, my goodness. You put me to bed. You woke me up. What's up, Babs? Nice to see you. Sean Kilrain, you hot, the chat hopping SOB, you. What's going on? Trey, 4 for 5. The fighting players are going to be hearing, I think heating up is what you mean. Trey has proven a great player. I've never been worried about him. There you go, Babs. Be more like Babs, people. Never worry. Sean Kilrain, JT getting Jake Marisnik out at first was nice. Looked like he was swimming. That play, I missed that in the play-by-play. Thank you. What play? What was that? Was that the first? Let me find that on my notes. It was the third inning. Cabrera's up at the plate. Grounds out to shortstop to get a high throw from Trea Turner in the third, but Ellis came down with the tag. It was great. Ibanez struck out. Marisnik works the walk. McKinstry is at the plate. Marisnik's at first. He goes to steal second base. Ha! You moron. He slips. He's slipping. He's spinning his wheels. He's not going anywhere. JT Realmuto reads the play perfectly. Snap throw to first. They pick him off, catch him stealing. I don't know what you would call it. But either way, JT Realmuto made a great play on that. You're absolutely right. That was a phenomenal play. Who was that? Sean. What's up, Sean? No beard. Barbara does not want James Harden. Middleton missed 75% of the games last season. I don't know about him. Oh, Chris Middleton. Yes. Yeah, I agree. No, the injury thing is something to worry about. Brooke Lopez, maybe. All right. Barbara. Manscaped? I'd much rather wax. Sorry, Babs. Let me say it again. Manscaped? I don't know. I'd just rather wax. Thank you, Babs. I feel like we're really getting to know each other now. Big Sales Propaganda, LOL. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys in the Jacob Media chat. Let's jump over to the Farzy Show chat on the Farzy Show YouTube page. Affiliated Poppy. What's going on? Win's a win. The Phillies are winning, baby. I love it. April, good morning. April. Morning, people, says Mally. Mally. Farzy Show chat, what's happening? The fighting's heating up in June. It's June, and the Phillies are great. It's June, and they were worth the wait. All right, sorry. Glad to see Turner actually get out of his own head. I agree, April. The man, the myth, the legend, Paul Hide Your Wives Hudrick. He'll be joining us tomorrow. You know, real quick, Paul's mom, this is respectful. Hold on. Paul's mom has been a big supporter of me in my career. She's followed my career from the beginning. And I called her when I started the Farzy Show. Paul gave me her number, and because she was asking about me, and I was like, I just want to let her know everything's cool. And I called her, and she didn't answer. And so here's the deal. Paul's gonna sit down with me today to talk about the Sixers. Paul's mom will be over the house helping take care of Paul's son Miles, his adorable little baby boy. I'm gonna get her on, and I'm gonna hit record, and if she says I can use it, I'm gonna use it. And if she says I can, then I'm not. Because you never know with moms. My mom is always looking for the microphone or the camera. That's how my mom is. That's probably why I'm the way I am. My dad, no witnesses. But my mom, the more the merrier when it comes to the amount of time she could be on a microphone or a camera. So we may talk to Paul, not only Paul tomorrow, we might talk to Paul's mom. And I hope she has a piping hot take on Nick Nurse. Anyway, that's a maybe. I'm teasing a maybe, which you should never do, but I'm teasing a maybe. We might have a first-time guest there. Maybe I'll ask her the 5 questions. What makes you beep your horn in traffic, Miss Hudrick? Anyway, whatever works, keep it going. Sean Gillespie, I concur. Just needs some consistency from the Fightins. Mally, I concur. Mally, side note of Michael J. Fox, secret of my success is classic. Okay, back to the scheduled programming. You know, speaking of my mom, she took me to an audition for a Michael J. Fox movie. What the hell was the name of that movie? Life with Mikey. Wow. Life with Mikey, where Michael J. Fox and Nathan Lane play child casting agents, and they find the golden goose of child actors, and they're going to put her in all these commercials and all that stuff. That's the movie, right? My mom wanted me to. I never actually got to audition. I had to wait in the big cattle call line outside this place in Baltimore. But anyway, it was like around the corner. The news covered it. Okay, it was on the news, people. It was on CBS 13, WJZ Eyewitness News. Okay, it was a big deal. But I remember that movie later came out, and of course I saw it. There's something in that movie that can help anyone. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a great line from Michael J. Fox, okay? If you ever have to do a show, if you ever have to do public speaking, if you ever have to, I don't know, do anything on a microphone or in front of a camera, there's a great piece in this movie where Michael J. Fox is trying to tell this, like, child prodigy actor she's not an actor, she's just real natural, and she says, I feel stupid doing this. And Michael J. Fox goes, that's what it is. It's feeling stupid. If you feel like you're great, you're not doing it right. You need to feel stupid. And I thought that summed it up rather well. So if I ever did a recording in my radio days, if an athlete ever came in and I had to do a recording with an athlete, and they do the read like, come to Chickies and Pete's. Chickies and Pete's is great. And meet me, Sean Bradley. That's who I literally did I'm sorry, Stuart Bradley was the guy. Stuart didn't do it well the first time, okay? Remember Stuart Bradley, former Eagles linebacker? Come meet me, Stuart Bradley at the Chickies and Pete's. And I remember I said to Stuart, Stuart, you have to feel like an idiot. You have to, when you do this, I want you to feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. And he did the next read, and he nailed it because I coached him up. Thanks, Michael J. Fox and the horrible movie Life with Mikey that I took a life lesson out of. But if you ever have to do public speaking, if you do anything like that at work, if you do anything like that, you'll do a presentation. If you don't feel stupid, then you're not doing it right. You gotta sell it, baby. Sell it. Anyway, April, that's my free advice, courtesy of Michael J. Fox. April, hello again. Mihai, what's up, Mihai Sanchez? Phillies are streaking. Everybody hits. Woohoo! I had no issue with Maton home run celebration. Trea Turner and Nick Maton slugfest. I don't have a problem with bat flips. And the waving thing was the rock on to the bullpen that Rhys Hoskins does. So there. And by the way, side note, great to see Rhys Hoskins in the dugout. I'm a Rhys Hoskins fan. I don't understand why he's such a lightning rod guy, but he is. But yeah, great to see him in the dugout last night with the Phillies. That was fantastic. Just a Teep. What's up, Just a Teep? I'm very excited to be here. It's great to have you. Mihai Sanchez, can Nola stay consistent? Also, I asked for no more Junior Valentine. Not my Valentine. 2 straight home series with the newer and worse Angel Hernandez. I disagree, Mihai. The Drew Ellis call was bogus. I agree with that. But God, what series was it? Let me look at the schedule real quick. I'm trying to think of what series that was. That Junior Valentine was the home plate umpire. Was it the Diamondback series? Might have been the Diamondback series. But if you remember, he wasn't making strike calls. It was the weirdest thing. Where are the umpires at? Come on, box score, you bastard. Yeah, Junior Valentine. It was the 10-inning game. Trea Turner 2-run home run that sent in the extra innings. Junior Valentine wasn't making the calls. It was a strike. He would just lean back. If it was a strike, he just leaned back. If it was a ball, he just leaned back. And like Tom McCarthy was like, what is happening? The score kept on being wrong in terms of like what the count was because he wasn't calling it. And then this time around, I noticed a little bit more of the Enrico Palazzo. Hey! Yeah! For the people on the podcast, I was just doing a wonderful job of not only pantomiming, but adding some amazing audio of really intense and overdramatic strike calls by Junior Valentine, as done by Leslie Nielsen as Enrico Palazzo and Naked Gun, the first one. So I just felt like it was strike. Anyway, what do we got here? What's happening? What am I pushing buttons? Why am I pushing buttons? B.I. Sanchez, can Aaron Nola be consistent? I hope so. With Mally, welcome, Just. Kick your shoes off and enjoy. There we go. Appreciate you guys, as per usual. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic. I mentioned I was going to get into the morning rush, and in the morning rush, I was going to talk about that fella, Taijuan Walker, and what we can expect from him today. Can we get a couple of good starts in a row for the Philadelphia Phillies starting pitchers? Last time out, it was up against the Mets, 4 innings, 3 runs, all of them earned, home run, 4 innings of work. Took the loss. Before that, 6 2/3, 3 runs against the Braves. Before that, 5 1/3 scoreless innings. I'll take a 3 earned run performance. I'll take a 3-run performance from Taijuan Walker today. Give me 5 innings, baby. Give me 5 innings with the way the bats are popping today. Huh? A bullpen game for the Tigers? Let's have at it. Let's have at it. 6:40 start time again. NBA Finals back underway tomorrow in Miami with the series knotted up at a game apiece. So that's what's going down in the NBA. One thing I do want to mention, it should suck that the Kansas City Chiefs visited the White House yesterday. It should suck because it should be the Eagles visiting the White House yesterday, but it wasn't. It was the Kansas City Chiefs. However, speaking as someone who's an absolute mic whore, okay? Travis Kelce presenting the jersey to President Biden with Patrick Mahomes and kind of like guiding President. He guided Travis Kelce was in charge of the President of the United States for like a second and a half yesterday. He was like, yeah, sir, why don't you just go over here? And he like guided the President of the United States over to a table to put down the jersey as he wandered over to the podium. And he was like, I just wanted to say, and then Patrick Mahomes scampered over and pushed him. All right, no, sorry, everyone, and pushed him away. That I laughed out loud. I thought that was hilarious. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, what was Travis Kelce going to say? What was he going to say at the most powerful spot in America, the podium of the White House? What was he going to say? Know your role and shut your hole, you jabronis. I'm sorry, I messed it up. Know your role and shut your mouth, jabroni. That needs to be said. That needs to be said at a presidential podium. It needs to be said. So I did laugh my ass off at that, even though it should have been the Eagles at that podium. Should have been Jalen Hurts dropping wisdom. Should have been Jalen Hurts before I had a purpose, before anyone had an opinion. That'd be the most brilliant thing said at a podium in a long time. There, at the presidential place there. In like 8 years, maybe. Thanks, everybody. You guys are great, as per usual. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Just a tip. DeSantis 24 was what Travis Kelce was going with. That'd be something. That would be something. Babs, see you tonight. Thank you. Yes, I will be on the Jacob Media YouTube channel with the Phillies post-game show. On the Jacob Media YouTube channel, brought to you by Colony Pools and Power Wash. I'll be back after the Phillies hopefully get their 4th win in a row against the Tigers tonight in South Philly. 6:40 start time. So see you guys after that. Jim Hyde produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you guys tonight. See you. Paul Hudrick joins us tomorrow.